Sir David Davis.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Every nation, quite rightly, celebrates the heroism of its soldiers. But in the United Kingdom's case, we also celebrate their skill in avoiding innocent deaths when dealing with the enemies of our nation and our democracy. When nations neutralise terrorists, they typically use a bomb or a missile. And bombs and missiles also kill innocent bystanders in the house, in the wedding party, in the bus. So Britain, as the Minister knows better than anybody else, uses special forces very often in those circumstances. And if I may quote the words of Richard Williams, the former commanding officer of 22 SAS on our operations in Iraq, he said, "The SAS soldiers took extreme risks facing violent and well-prepared opposition to capture these terrorists and hand them on to Iraqi justice and detention. It was a deliberate and careful approach. It required precision, intelligence, self-control and skill in the face of immense danger. The very opposite of the hot-blooded murderous drama depicted by ill-informed outsiders." At the start of 2005, approximately 100 vehicle-borne suicide bombs were being detonated every month in Baghdad by Al-Qaeda, and thousands of Shia Muslims were being slaughtered by assassination gangs. By the end of 2007, after the combined action of US and SAS forces, the number of suicide bombs had dropped to 1 a month, saving lives. And the Sunni population of central Iraq was supporting the coalition efforts in eradicating Al-Qaeda from their midst. It was a remarkable outcome, justifiably celebrated by military and political leaders, all down to our soldiers. But those special forces in that capacity to protect innocent lives is at risk. Only today, and as the Honourable Member for Westbury, South Wiltshire, said earlier, only today we've seen 9 retired 4-star generals warning in the Times of the damaging effects of lawfare. And if I may quote extensively some of their words and put them on the parliamentary record, quote, "Having held the honour of leading the United Kingdom's armed forces, we feel bound to warn that the government's Northern Ireland Troubles Bill and the legal activism surrounding it risk weakening the moral foundations and the operational effectiveness of the forces on which this nation depends. Presented as a route to justice and closure, the bill achieves neither. It will not bring terrorists to account, it will not heal division in Northern Ireland, and it undermines the confidence of those who volunteer to serve this country at its request and under its authority. This lawfare is a direct threat to national security." Now, contrary to recent ministerial assurances, I'm still quoting, highly trained members of special forces are already leaving the service. These are the men and women who quietly neutralise threats and protect lives every week. Their loss is significant. It's a direct consequence of legal uncertainty and the erosion of trust. This is a corrosive form of lawfare which now extends far beyond Northern Ireland. Today, every deployed member of the British Armed Forces must consider not only the enemy in front, but also the lawyer behind. The fear that lawful actions may later be judged unlawful will paralyse decision-making, distort rules of engagement and deter initiative.
Am I right on offending that, Mr. Speaker?
I will, briefly.
Mark Francois.
Can he confirm for the parliamentary record that of the 9 generals who have written this unprecedented letter, 3 of them are former chiefs of the General Staff, in other words, the professional head of the British Army?
Yes, he's right. All of them, I think, have had soldiers serving under them in the front line at risk and had soldiers die under their command. So they're all people with very strong knowledge of what we're talking about. And I go on with the quotation. The distort rules of engagement and deter initiative. And make no mistake, our closest allies are watching uneasily, and our enemies will be rubbing their hands. So, if we do not speak up to protect both our current service personnel and our veterans, the innocent, as I described earlier, will suffer because we will not be able to do what we've done in the past. And we'll find ourselves unable to defend our nation when called upon. Now, the Minister didn't like it when my honourable friend raised this issue before. And I understand it's an uncomfortable issue for a day like today. But it is important that we're not guilty of hypocrisy in this chamber, that we recognise that the people we are standing up for are facing a new threat, which we have to deal with. And I have to say to the House, again in response to the Minister's probable discomfort on this matter, that I've been surprised in the last 2 weeks to have had, on 2 occasions actually in the last 2 weeks, to have a number of the people in the front line on this issue, if you like, quote Martin Luther King to me. And the quote they gave me was, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. We owe it to them not to be silent on these issues."